Welcome to my review of Jordan Peele's new movie titled Nope that came out a week ago. I didn't get to see it last week, but I did get to see it today, and I want to drop my review on it here on the channel. This review, I'm not going to go into major spoilers here. We're going to talk about just kind of my idea, like my thoughts on the plot, the characters, the acting, and what they did with the movie. So Jordan Peele, this is his third directorial movie. His first two were Get Out and Us. Now, I loved Get Out. Get Out was amazing. Us, I liked it. Didn't like it as much as Get Out because I was able to predict the twist early in the film. But it's still a very well-made movie, and it has a really creepy vibe to it. What Jordan Peele is good at is he's good at taking a concept that seems simple and then twisting it and doing something different with it. And the same thing happens here with Nope. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. So the film stars Daniel Kaluuya, who is also the main character of Get Out, and Keke Palmer, Stephen Yeun, Michael Wincott, Brandon Perea, and it's really those five characters. There's other actors, but the main story centers around those five characters. This film, I want to first talk about the acting. So Daniel Kaluuya plays Otis OJ, and he's basically, he and Keke Palmer, they're these horse ranchers, and their whole thing is they groom horses, they raise them, they ride them, and they sell them. That's what they do. And at one point in the film, they sell the horses to Stephen Yeun's character, who's Ricky Park. And Ricky Park is this actor that used to be on this sitcom as a kid. But what happened in the sitcom, at one point they ask how did it end? And he kind of is very vague on it. But as the film progresses, we find out he has a whole backstory. He has a whole ass backstory that gets revealed in the second act. And it's very interesting. So if you've seen the trailers, you know that the film is about UFOs. It's about Keke Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya's, I guess, I don't want to call it encounter, but I guess you can call it a close encounter with what appears to be a UFO. However, we find out in this film that this is not a traditional UFO story. Like, if you've seen movies like Dark Sky and things like that, Fourth Kind, you've seen these sort of alien movies. I've seen them myself, and I have fun with them. This movie, though, Jordan Peele takes this concept and totally turns it on its head and does something new that I've never seen before. If I were to compare it to something without going into spoilers, I would compare it to an episode of The Twilight Zone. And in many ways, all of his films come off like Twilight Zone episodes. We know he's a huge fan of Twilight Zone, and we know that he hosted one of the reboots, and I think he produced it, but I don't remember exactly. Either way, he takes what would traditionally be seen as a UFO story, and just when you find out what's really going on, it's something I've never seen before. Like, it's totally new. And you're talking to a guy who's read a bunch of Goosebumps books and seen a bunch of horror movies, like, as a kid, and grew up with the franchise. I used to be really into the UFO stuff, and this story really takes that concept and just turns it on its head. And it's really creative, and it's really well done. The acting in the movie, listen, Daniel Kaluuya is a great actor. If you've seen Get Out, you know that already. Keke Palmer, what I like about the characters is Keke is like the spunky, sort of lively, likable mouthpiece of the duo. Otis OJ is a lot more reserved, he's a lot more quiet, a lot more direct. He's more like an all-business kind of guy. And I like their little juxtaposition. By the way, they're brother and sister. I should mention that. They're related by blood. And, as the film continues, it really ends up being something unique, something visually stunning. One thing I like about this movie is that Jordan Peele does a great job of doing the classic horror, trope of sort of hiding the monster and not revealing him until later. And that's not a monster, but you get what I'm saying. Like, he hides sort of the reveal of what's really going on until about halfway or so through the film. And then the last half of the movie is them trying to figure out how to get out of it. Now, There are going to be some people that aren't going to like the twist. I liked it because it was very different, it was very unique, and it was very creative. And there's foreshadowing. Like, things happen in the third act that get foreshadowed in the first act. So it is a movie you can go back and watch again and say, oh, okay, well, I see where they foreshadowed that. Like, it all kind of makes sense. So it's interesting. And the movie sort of, like, as you see the film, like, what you think is going to happen changes. And I like that he's kind of playing with that. Also, the way it's directed, there's a lot of, like, very unique creative directing here. Not just in the way that Jordan Peele sets up his shots and the cinematography, but also how he uses words on the screen, like title cards, to kind of give each part of the movie its own little chapter. You know, and I like how he did. There's a lot of really creative stuff here. I enjoyed this movie. It might not be for everyone. I know some people might not like the film only because a lot of horror fans want it to be either slasher or some kind of ghost or something. This is a bit different. There are sci-fi elements to this, but I really like how he really took, you know, a lot of, and he admitted that he was inspired by Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Signs. Like, these are movies that we know are kind of classic sort of, you know, UFO movies. But what I found interesting in looking up research on the movie after I saw it is that he was a big fan of Neon Genesis Evangelion. And I just got done marking out over Shin Gojira, made by Hideaki Anno, the creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion. And I like that. And it's one of those things where this film could have a sequel, but it really does not need one because I think the story was really well told. I think it was an interesting film. It was also one that's introspective. It makes you wonder, what would you do if you were in their shoes? And there's a couple scenes that are legitimately, like, you know, terrifying. Like, if you have kids, there's a couple of scenes, not all of it, that are like, holy shit. Like, you're just like, damn. But it's not really like that. It's one of those films that as you're watching, you're trying to find out more and more about what's really going on. And there's, you know, you don't find out until later on in the movie, but it still has some replay value. So I liked it. I mean, I still think Get Out is his best movie. He hasn't been able to trump on that one, but with Jordan Peele, you have a filmmaker who really is doing some tremendously creative stuff. I mean, tremendously creative. I mean, the dude, I would put him and Ari Aster, the guy who directed Midsommar and Hereditary. Those are my two favorite new horror filmmakers. There's other ones, but I mean, as far as like new blood that's kind of been introduced in the last couple of years, I'm going to put them high up. I'm going to put them high up because they're doing some things. They're taking ideas from the genre and taking concepts from like really old Twilight Zone episodes and things that haven't even been on television or in movies in years, expounding upon them, twisting them, and I like that. I like that about Nope. So I'm not going to go into any spoilers, but it's interesting because let's just say it's a very interesting movie. I liked it a lot. And it is what it is. Definitely go see it if you're into Jordan Peele's movies. If you liked Us, if you liked Get Out, you'll like this one. If you're into horror or aliens, you'll love it too. It's very different. Anyways, I'm out. Take care. Talk to you soon.